Welcome to Sharing with Sharon, and today we're featuring Peter Anthony. A horror film enthusiast, he is known for his work in Rise of the Crimson Butcher, The Evil Three, Valentine Bluffs, The Sawyer Massacre, Friday the 13th Vengeance 2, The Fall of Camp Blood, and Roseblood. Currently in production are his movies Laugh and The Death of Snow White. After sitting down with Peter and getting real, I found out there's more that meets the eye. So let's get started. Welcome to Sharing with Sharon.
Thank you.
I'm Sharon, and I look forward to having this great dialogue. I am here with Peter Anthony
Thank you.
from Peter Anthony Productions. He is also an actor and an international award-winning producer, writer, and director. Did I get that?
Correct. You got your homework
Wow.
well. You did well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you know that this is my very first podcast interview?
Oh, okay. Now it makes sense. Okay. What an honor. I'll forever be in the lexicon of your history.
Well, I hope I do you proud.
You will.
I hope
You will.
I
You're
do
pretty
you proud.
prepared. Look at you.
Well, I first became acquainted with Peter through his movie Laugh.
Yes.
I was a background actor in the club scene as Catwoman. And I made a split second debut in the trailer.
Yes.
So thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah.
So what I also know about Peter is that under this very tough shell that he has, this tough guy shell, he's very sweet. And you probably didn't want me to mention that because you don't want to blow your cover.
Sometimes.
Yeah, he's very sweet.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk a lot more about the filming industry and your experience, all of that in a bit.
Yeah.
I wanted to get started by getting to know a little bit about you. Let's have our viewers get to know a little bit more about you.
Excellent.
If that's okay.
Yeah.
So can you tell me about your upbringing, where you grew up and how you grew up?
I grew up here in most people I say New Haven, Connecticut, because when I travel, but Wallingford, Connecticut. Grew up with my parents. My mom's from Cuba.
Okay.
My dad's Italian, so grew up here in that environment with my dad working 2 jobs, my mom working 90 hours a week. Just grew up in kind of a Spanish household, similar to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I got one brother, Shane. He's older 2 years.
Okay.
And that's it. It was just me and him to fiend for ourselves.
And if you had to summarize your experience growing up in a sentence, what would it be?
Blessed.
Okay.
Just lucky that we have great parents.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you saw all that hard work and you kind of instilled in you to be the same way.
And discipline. That's kind of lacking today.
Okay. Yep.
Because we were hit.
Kind of where I was going with that.
Yeah. Because the discipline, kids get away with everything today. Yeah. Back in the day, you could just get a look. Your mom would be in the grocery store and be like, just give you one of those, and you knew, don't do anything or you're going to get whooped. you know?
That's an interesting point because I think there was a nice balance of having that discipline, but also knowing you were loved. So there is that. It wasn't like this strict, you didn't exist kind of thing.
No, remember the "it hurt me more than it hurt you" line, which is not true, but yeah.
Well, my dad was more into the lecturing. And I don't know if you got beaten when you were bad.
They would warn you and they would tell you, and then if you kept doing it, then my dad, if I got in trouble, I'd get into fights a lot. Right. So I get in a fight at school. He never wanted to hear the story. Right. So even if the guy started the fight, if I won, then they call my house. My mom knows, and my mom's like, "I'm gonna tell your father when you get home." And I'm like, "Don't tell him." I'm like, "The guy started with me because he ain't gonna listen." So we'd come home and he'd be like, "I heard you got a fight at school today. You got suspended." And I'm like, "Yeah, Dad, but let me tell you, no, go downstairs. I'm gonna finish eating. When I'm done eating, I'm gonna whoop you." And then you'd wait for a half hour, and then you'd hear the stairs, and you figure he'd be cool by then. Oh no, you still got it. Right. Yeah.
So he was, no holds barred. You go right in, whatever it is. It didn't matter the why. Yeah. It was the outcome.
Because I was representing the family is how he looked at it. Yeah, and he's the nicest guy ever. If you meet him now, you would never think that he was like that. Right. Yeah, everybody loves him. Right. Everywhere we go. But he's just changed. Like I've changed. I used to be a lot, tougher. Right. So kids and nieces and stuff change you like that.
I wonder if that's different because I grew up in a Spanish household as well. And I remember talking to my dad about fights. And he would say, "Back out, nothing. We don't give up."
Yeah.
So a little bit the opposite.
Same thing he would say. If someone hit you, hit him back.
Oh, okay.
But
But you can't
then when
start
you
it.
get suspended at school, he doesn't. He just didn't care.
It was the
He
suspension.
worked 2 jobs. So by the time he came home, he was so hungry and so tired. He didn't want to hear it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I think
Right.
that's really what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And we're boys too. I mean, if we had a sister, I don't think she would have got a whooping like that.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
And he just wanted to make sure that you knew what to do when you got older and
It's
bringing
a
you up right.
So 18 to 25, we're kind of at odds all the time,
Right.
verbally all the time, and like almost trying to kill each other. And then by the time you're 30, he's my best friend. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? Into now, and you realize what he did and why
Right.
he did it and work. Because I see so many people that are so lost and so different with no morals, no values, none of that, and they instilled it in us. It takes discipline to do that.
Right. Definitely.
Yeah, people think it takes love. Yeah, it does, but it takes discipline too. Especially with 2 boys, like they're not going to listen.
That's true.
Yeah,
Two boys.
yeah.
Well, he did a good job.
Thank you.
So, what's your most treasured childhood memory?
It's got to be playing sports with my brother because me and my brother used to play basketball, baseball, football, go to the parks. Our house was next to a park.
Okay.
So, and my mom always cooked Spanish food all the time.
Yep.
So my house was like the house.
Okay.
So all the kids would come there, all of my white friends, and my mom would cook all the Spanish food, and then we'd go play at the park, which is you just jump the fence, and that was
Mm-hmm.
it. It was the park and come there. So it was playing with my brother playing sports because I loved it. He was older and he was great, and he was like my best friend growing up, and I just always wanted to impress him and stuff like that. So
That's awesome.
yeah, that was when I think back, that's my favorite times.
Is
You
that
know,
why you're so close to your nieces?
I think so. I think
Okay.
so. Also because I'm like you said, real tough, and then they're so girly, and it just kind of broke me down like that. Plus, I just love family. I love kids.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Now, just I kind of got the answer already, but what's important to you? Just you as a person, you now as an adult. What's important to you?
Family.
Family.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the biggest pain for me is that I don't have my own family.
Okay.
Even though I've tried so hard in multiple ways, it's
Mm-hmm.
just to me, it's like, well, what have you really done if you don't have family?
Mm-hmm.
That's how I always felt.
So when you say that, because you do have family, you just mean your
My own,
right,
correct?
okay,
Yeah.
your immediate unit.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Pass
Okay.
on the name. Plus, there's my brother has 2 daughters, so the name's gonna die.
Right.
Yeah, so
Right.
that's another reason why I wanted to. Yeah,
Uh, mm.
yeah.
Well, I'm just going to pivot a little bit since we're talking about family and what's important to you. Can you tell us about Bryson?
Oh, Bryson. Yeah. So you want to know the whole beginning from him?
Yeah.
Well,
If, what you're willing to share.
yeah, yeah. So I had an ex that I was married to,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't work out, and I divorced her for multiple reasons. We won't get into it, but
Mm-hmm.
just not a good person,
Okay.
So then years later, she got in contact with me, and she's like, "Oh, you want to hang out or something?" And then she came over here, and she answered the door, and she was pregnant. And I was like blown away. And I was just like, what? What's going on? And then I don't know what it was. We just kept hanging out and she seemed so changed. And so I was like, okay. And then I just kind of fell in love with the whole baby thing and the baby bump and putting your hand there and having to kick you and having you roll. And I always wanted family. So it's almost like my weakness. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like I always wanted family. She know I always wanted family. Came back, like kind of forgave her for everything, and then moved forward. And then he was born, and he was like my best friend. He was like the best thing that ever happened. Till like a year later, and then she did a whole bunch of really really bad things again. And then it got to the point where it was just so bad where I had to kick her out of here, which is I didn't want to do because of him.
Right.
So, but it just was out of control. And then she's a drug addict and stuff like that, and stealing and stuff, just everything you can imagine. And so that was the toughest decision because I knew that once that happened, she wouldn't let me see him. And
Mm-hmm.
then she'd make up her own story and so on and so forth. So that's what happened. And then she'd let me see him sporadically. And then I'd always text and I'd always stay in front, just take all the slings and arrows. And then I'd go there and she'd live in some crappy apartment and I would see all her bills and I would pay all her bills. And then he'd have like his bedroom was broken or this was running. I'd go to the store. I got him a TV. I got him his favorite movies. I got him a DVD player. I got him toys. I built one of these like a holder for his house and stuff like that. Try to do everything I possibly could for him. And
Mm-hmm.
then, but it didn't matter. Like she would just, I don't know if she got a boyfriend or what she did, but I would say, hey, next week can I possibly see Bryson? You let me know the time and day and I'll make it happen. I would take off work. Um, and then she would come here. Okay, I'm going to bring him. And then I come down. Hey, come downstairs. He wants to see you. Come downstairs. Hey, bud. Hey, Ta. What's going on? And then she'd be like, well, take a good look at him because you'll never effing see him again. And for no reason. And just pull off. and he would start crying and stuff like that. So, and then I'd FaceTime with him, and then I didn't see him for like 4 weeks, 5 weeks. I knew she was gonna eventually not let me see him, so I would FaceTime with him, and then he would, I love you, Ty. You know, I want you to be my daddy, and then she would take the phone and be like, you're never gonna see him again. Ty hates you. Ty doesn't want to see you. And she, what, why? And he would start crying, and then she'd hold the phone and laugh and record it. Then she would tell him other times too and record it and send it to me.
She sounds evil, kind of.
Evil.
Um,
Evil.
and
Yeah.
and
And it hurts him.
Yeah, to hurt her
Yeah.
son. I mean, I don't get why she
For
would
no
want to
reason.
hurt you, but to hurt her son,
Yeah.
that's
And the
horrible.
crazy thing is the relationship failed because of her multiple times.
Right.
Multiple times. She became a drug addict. She's lying. You name it.
Right.
So I don't understand that part, and I forgive it. And when she was 4 months pregnant, here's the other part: the father kicked her out of the house. She had nowhere to go, nowhere to live. And at 4 months pregnant, someone that I divorced, that I didn't like, I accepted back in for him. And still, that has no resonance with her.
That's a tough one, Peter. That's a tough one.
You can't fix it. I've tried so many different ways.
Right. Yeah, you're gonna have to. That one's gonna have to be put in God's hands, and I think something will happen, and hopefully, you'll be able to reconnect and reestablish your relationship with him when he's more in control of what can happen to him. Yeah. Because she seems like she's gonna continue to do what she's doing, not putting his best interest at heart.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, I know that family is very important to you, and you're very close with your dad, and you're very close with your nieces. So, can you tell me a little bit about your relationship with your dad?
Well, my dad, like most alpha males, 18 to 25, button heads all the time, arguing, yelling. Didn't he? I think he's doing it wrong. He thinks I'm doing something, even like working in the yard, something like that. And then I moved to Florida for a couple of years, didn't see him too. And then around, let's say 30, you realize, like most guys, like your dad's like your best friend, or he should be by then. So we started hanging out. We would go to the baseball games. We went to the Miami Dolphins game in Miami. Just everything. He's just such a good guy. Like I said, everybody loves him. Everywhere he goes, he talks to everyone. He makes friends with everybody. So he's just hard not to love. So he became, and then all these surgeries and all these problems with me, he's always there for me. Right. He never says anything, never complains. And he was on like stage 4 kidney failure when he was in Florida. He was puking blood. The trip almost killed him, but he wanted to be there for me. Wow. So yeah, he's like that. He won't say nothing. He's one of those guys, you go to the hospital, the doctor's like, what's wrong? And he's like, nothing. Like Dad, you just threw blood up,
and he's your number one fan for sure in all aspects of your life. So that's so cool. Yeah. That's wonderful to have that. And your nieces, you were talking, you talk about your nieces all the time on social media. So
yeah. Ella's what is she, 18? She's a senior. I think she's 18 now. And she's going to college, and Hadley is 10. So it's huge. One's the girl next door, and the other one's a diva. So Hadley is the diva. She thinks she's wearing pocketbook and lipstick and makeup. Ella's wearing 2 dresses for prom, and that's it. So they're so different, but they love me because they think I'm crazy. Because my brother's a really nice, calm, normal person, and I'm nuts. I'm screaming and yelling and doing all kinds of crazy shit. Listening to Tupac and making making movies. Right. And they just
must think you're so cool.
Yeah. But they give it to me too, because Ella's like, you think you're the best, don't you? I'm like, well,
love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
So that she has attitude too. That's good.
Yeah.
Strong.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, let's pivot into some of your favorite pastimes.
My favorite pastime. So not when I'm young, just in general. Would be this. Okay. Would probably be going to conventions, meeting all my heroes, and just going to horror conventions. Because I always loved horror movies when I was young. When I was 6, I used to go in the basement. Remember unfinished basements, like when you were younger, how scary they were? Yes. So an unfinished basement, 6 years old, because we didn't have TVs in our room. And HBO was like the only thing that showed that stuff. It was a TV downstairs. So I would sneak downstairs and watch it like by myself, like 11, 12, 1 o'clock, and watch it. So I was always into it more than I thought like when I look back, I'm like, wow, you're really into it. But back then I just thought it was cool. Right. So I loved watching movies, horror movies, going to conventions, meeting all the Jasons, meeting all the scary guys. For me now as an adult, that's definitely my favorite thing.
Awesome. Well, you certainly made a career of it, that's for sure. As you can see, there are many faces of Peter. So now let's talk shop. Now let's talk about the filming industry. Yeah. How the heck did you get started?
There was a movie called Voorhees, which was a fan film. So a fan film, for people who don't know, is you raise money
Okay.
with Indiegogo or another service to raise money for your film. I was
Okay.
part of this project Voorhees. Long story short, didn't get along with the director. I left the project, and when I did, I made a video on it because so many of my family and friends wanted to know what I was doing.
Right.
And Jason Brooks, who is the Jason in a lot of my films, was running Vengeance. And then he said, "Hey, man, you want to come promote?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You did a great job. We'll come promote." I came promote. There was a part that opened up with the prisoners, and that famous shot of me and him together was supposed to be somebody else. It was supposed to be Kane Hodder, who was a real Jason, but he couldn't do it.
Okay.
Then Steve Dash was supposed to do it, but he was sick. So then, because I was working so hard, like, "Do you want to do it?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll do it. Play a badass asshole. That's easy for me." Wake up like that, right? So I did it, and then everybody liked it, and then did Vengeance 2, then Fall Camp Blood, and then I'm like, I'm gonna write a movie, and everyone's like, I've never wrote, I've never picked up a camera, I never turned on a camera, I've never directed nothing until Roseblood. I'm like, I'll do it because
How about acting? Did you go to school for anything?
no,
You did
no.
all of
But
this
I'm
on
one of
your
those
own.
guys. My whole life, everybody always says you should have been an actor.
Yeah.
Oh, my whole life. My friends still say it now. "We told you at 18 you should have done it." So that came natural. I don't get nervous.
Right.
So with surgery or fighting, or I just never got nervous.
How old were you when that happened?
Only 5, 6 years ago with
Really?
Vengeance. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Okay. So is this all you do?
yeah. I quit my job to do it.
And
Yeah.
what was your job?
I was in sales. So I was at my last point. I was a specialist for it's called a metal fabrication specialist.
Okay.
I sold robots and lasers and all kinds of welding procedures and all kinds of stuff for businesses. I was
Oh.
traveling all across the U.S. stuff like
So a
that.
salesperson.
Yeah. Well,
Wow.
and I was doing good, and it's crazy to quit that for this,
Mm-hmm.
but this is the time to do it. And then if we have success like we're trying, then I can look back and be like, "Hey, I tried." But if you don't, regrets is the worst thing to live with,
Right.
I think.
Right.
So
That's so true.
and there's
It is so true.
so many things I couldn't do over the years because of my knee.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I can do this. Let's try. We've had success. So
Good for you. Here's a shot from the set of Laugh, a horror thriller. I guess I understand why horror, but why horror?
I guess it's that tough guy in me.
Okay.
Yeah, just badass. And that original part 3,
Mm-hmm.
that guy there.
Mm-hmm.
In that one scene, his neck was really big and his traps. He just looked menacing, and I
Mm-hmm.
always thought that was like powerful. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? So
Right.
like what a girl sees as like sexy, a guy sees as like powerful.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's how I saw that, and it's just badass, and he looked mean, and something about the mask, because I feel like everybody tells me I'm two people, and I'm a Gemini, right?
Okay.
So I'm totally that I have the biggest heart for certain people,
Right.
and then I'll cut your throat with other
Okay.
people. So I think it subconsciously was in my mind, and,
Okay.
and like and just jump scares and just being alive. It's like a roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
Where other movies, yeah, they're good and stuff, ET and stuff, but to me, I just feel more alive with horror. It's
Can someone actually scare you?
in movie, like watching a movie
Yeah, in actually watching a movie or in person.
in person. No, my brother scared the crap out of me a couple of
Okay.
times. Like
Okay.
he would hide in the bathroom back home for 5 minutes. I'm sitting there eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. He's waiting for me to come by. He would jump scare me and stuff. So yeah, like that. But watching a movie once in a while,
Okay.
but it's rare.
So you could sit there, watch a movie, scary part come on, and you won't even
No,
move.
at this point, I'm thinking how'd they do it. You
Oh.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Now that
you're
whole
looking at it a different
yeah, the
way.
director eye now is like how'd they do that, or I want to do that, or
Right.
yeah. So that kind of sucks in a way.
Okay. So
Yeah.
so that's interesting, and I can definitely appreciate. So horror is definitely your favorite
Yeah.
movies to be in, to produce,
Yeah.
to write.
But some of my favorite movies aren't horror.
Okay.
Like
Like.
John Carpenter's The Thing, True Romance. You ever see that?
Mm-mm.
Oh, Quentin Tarantino's first script. There's probably 15 Hall of Fame actors in it. It's a
Okay.
love story.
Okay. What
Um,
is it called?
True Romance.
Okay.
Yeah. John Carpenter's The Thing is definitely horror. I Am Legend, kind of horror with
Mhm.
Will Smith, but there's a lot of movies I love that aren't horror.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what do you like most? Do you like directing, producing, acting, writing?
Everybody will tell you acting. It's just so much easier,
Okay.
and you're free, and you're like expressing yourself. It's like singing a song in the
Mhm.
car. you sing it your way. You know? Yeah, same thing. The worst is writing. It's so much pressure to come up with characters that work, and pacing and storytelling and all that. And everybody has a different opinion. When you ask someone, do you like it? They don't like it. They do like it. It's that constant struggle inside. Writing is very, very, very tough. That's why a lot of directors just direct.
Right.
It's very rare to do both. Quentin Tarantino does both, but it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard. But overall, when you make a movie, directing is the best, probably, because when you're done and you go to a premiere and you see everybody's success and you see people under you have success and go on to make other films, you're like a parent.
Yeah.
So that part is probably the best overall.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. I like how you explain why.
Yeah.
In each of those. So just interesting, because I was that in your background and that.
Everybody loved you. They're like, who's the Catwoman girl? Yeah. I'm like, I don't even know who it is. I'm like, let me find out.
And the rest is history,
yeah.
right?
I think I grabbed you. I'm like, hey, you want to do the scene with the
remember?
And you're like, no, what do you mean? I'm like, yeah,
I said no. I wanted to. I want to be in more scenes. Never hear me
Can we
say
get a
no.
close up? Yeah.
Never hear me say no. No, I actually I love entertainment in general.
Did you like the trailer?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very cool, and I shared it with a lot of people, and they're
that's me.
anticipating this the completion and being able to watch the show. But can you tell me what's behind it? What made you write it, and what was the reasoning?
Well, it's a great segue because it has to do with Bryson.
Okay.
So in the film, the parts that you don't know about yet, because you've only seen those days that we shot, is a story about him losing his son and how that affects him and his descent into madness. So that's what it is he's an actor, and then the reason why I have makeup on is a Halloween party, but then when he turns into what we call the Reaper, he never comes out of it. He's fully changed, and that's because of so much loss in his life. And it starts with his son, and his ex-wife's a drug addict, and all that stuff. So it's really parallels to my life, and it was almost like therapeutic. And there's a scene in there that I cry with Terry. You don't see it in the trailer. We already shot it. I cry with Terry Kaiser. He's the actor from Weekend Upper. He was there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's great, isn't he? He's like, he's like, Peter, I want to come show up and hang out. And I'm like, okay. So cool. And then he's like, Peter, where'd you get all these pretty girls?
I did. I asked him. Yeah. Can I take a picture with you?
Oh, did you get a picture with him?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, he's used to it.
Yeah. So that was really cool.
Yeah,
I loved it. I mean, it was my first real experience with how a movie is being filmed, what it looks like behind the scenes.
A lot of work for a little bit of shot.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And I was laughing. I don't know if we're allowed to share this, but I was laughing about how you were taking some scenes in silence and you just have to move your mouth like you were talking or singing. Yes. And that was pretty cool.
Yeah, like crowd reactions.
And
things
dancing
like
to nothing.
Yeah. 100%.
That was fun.
Yeah, because the sound, you couldn't have the sound. Right. Yeah, so sometimes they play what's called a bump track. But I didn't have anything close to what we used in the trailer. Okay. So to kind of give you the head bobbing. Right. But no, I just said we'll just go without it because it's hard to separate the sounds.
Right. And it's so where is it now? Where is it in production?
Well, I got hurt. Okay. So we were supposed to shoot it before Snow White, the death of Snow White. Oh. But then I'm hurt, and now I got to get my knee replaced. So we're probably going to shoot it in August, September of next year. Okay. So yeah. Okay, so unfortunate, but that's the way it is in my life. So you thinking it's gonna be available for viewing in 2026? Correct. Okay. Yep. Okay. That's the goal. Okay. I have to shoot here. I have to shoot in Idaho. I might shoot a little bit in Seattle, but most of it will be here. Okay. And what makes you choose the location? Well, usually with Seattle is because Sharon, the producer's there, and he has his own property, and we have tons of buildings we build and sets and stuff like that. Here is because I just, it's so much cheaper for me to be here, and I'm always traveling there, especially when I was hurt. I mean, in those scenes, my knee, I had screws hanging out in the middle of my knee when I was walking, so it's very tough to travel like that, and then stay in a hotel room and have ice, things like that. So I wanted it to be here. Plus, it's cheaper for me to be here, than to send everything over there. Right. That's tough. Yeah, very tough, very expensive. We did that with Rosebud. So let's pivot a little with your knee, because you had a couple of surgeries. 25 on that knee. More than a couple. Yeah. And so, are there screws? Now, no, they took them out, but
Okay.
now the replacement's broken.
Okay.
So I had a replacement at 32. It was one of the, like, I was only the third guy in the world who had it. A guy from Europe came, a guy from Boston. They did that replacement to buy me time for this time. So now I got to get what they call a regular replacement.
So
And
what caused all of this?
football injury, I had a really bad injury in football,
Ah,
and it
okay.
was just trying to like buy time after that, and surgery after surgery to get to a point where I could have the replacement like now.
Okay.
The first replacement and then this replacement.
Okay.
Yeah, which I'm not looking forward to.
Now let's talk about the death of Snow White because that's your current project.
Correct.
Okay.
Huge project.
Okay.
That's the biggest thing we've ever done.
Okay.
So on in Seattle, it's actually Woodinville, Washington. Sean, the producer, and Jason wrote it and directed. Jason Brooks. He plays Jason in my films and other stuff. He was the devil and stuff in Laugh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he did a phenomenal job. Him and Naomi, his partner, writing and directing and making this world. And Sean built it. I mean, they built. You probably saw some of the pictures, like an entire village.
Yeah.
And they built an entire castle. A castle.
Wow.
In the middle of the woods. It's like, what? I got there. I'm like, what? And just the wardrobes and the costumes and the team is unbelievable. I mean, he's got like 20 people as a team. He's got makeup. He's got this line producer, everything. It's like a well-oiled unit. And Sean's daughter and him, Sanaya played in Roseblood. She was Rose.
Okay.
Yeah. They go to Disney like every year, twice a year. And she always loved Snow White. So this, for that family, for the Lutz's family, is like a dream come true.
Wow.
And she looks so beautiful. She looks like Snow White. She has the fairer skin, the dress and the straight black hair, and oh, she looks amazing. It just every scene in there is just out of control. So I'm also a producer on it, and then I had a smaller role, but like a comedic role where I play this.
Right.
Yeah, Cockney English. Cockney is like Jason Statham English, or from England, like the broken language. So, and everybody loved it. Everyone loved my part. I get dirty. I grew my hair and then shaved it like I was bald, yellow teeth, and I grew my fingernails out. I really like. Man, I can get ugly for this,
Wow.
Which I never do. I cut my nails like every day, Yeah.
So, how long did you have to keep that look?
For a week.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I would like go out to eat and I would look all weird. Even if I showered, now I have the bald thing, Wow. I got long fingernails. Yeah. So no girls were looking at me. For sure.
Oh my. Yeah. Well, they were, but not the way you want them to.
Exactly.
So with the castle being built in the woods, do they have to take it down? Like,
no, he's going to rent it out after. I mean, where else could you get a castle like that?
So they own the land?
Oh yeah, Sean owns all that land. Hence why we go there all the time.
Very cool.
It's like a compound.
Like, so how do you get funding for movies?
This one is Sean and some other investors. We all are investing, so that's why we're all like producers. But normally the other films like Laugh and stuff is crowdfunded, But Laugh will also have investors where they get a percentage of, if it goes to movie theaters, if it goes to this, they get a percentage of what comes back.
Is that the goal, to get into movie theaters?
1000%. We pretty much feel like we're there with Snow White, and then we're going to try to get there with Laugh also.
All right. Well, I've done a little bit of acting with some of these smaller films, and some of them not so quality, I should say.
Right.
And just showing it to people, they were like looking at the Laugh trailer. They're like, "Wow, this is it."
Yeah.
So there's a big difference when you know what you're doing.
Well, you see on set, you see the crew and what they have, and it's different.
The people are everything.
Everything. You have the guys pulling focus, and you have Cody running around on that little scooter thing. I don't know if you were there for that. He was on that board. I mean,
and then the mics following you around.
Those guys are total pro. They're talking to each other the whole time on headsets. We call them ears. So too close, too high. Everybody's talking to get the perfect shot. Sometimes they'll say do it like 3 more times, is because the guy didn't get the focus. Where if you use the guy's trying to pull focus with the camera is very, very tough.
Right.
But you can see the quality.
Right. And the continuity is important, right? From scene to scene. And if you repeat the scene, things people pick up on that you don't think they would. I look at movies differently now. Definitely look at different.
We had a continuity person. Naomi was being continuity director. She'll take pictures of me with the blood, every angle, your shirt, everything. So if you do another scene, how was it? All that stuff like that. And then what's called a hot set. So like at the club, you can't touch anything because let's say you picked up a pen or something. Well, now the pen wasn't there in one shot, it is in another shot. so on and so forth. You learn all that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Same thing with what's in your glass. You got to make sure it's the same level and all that stuff.
There's somebody that takes track of that, supposed to, but the bigger you get, the more you have of that.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. So, when will the Death of Snow White be completed?
March 2025. It comes out.
Okay. So very cool. Very soon.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very cool. I look forward to seeing that.
Yeah.
So, in the film industry, you've met a lot of people.
Yeah.
Famous, maybe not so famous, right?
Yeah.
Who's inspired you the most?
I'll give you two answers. My team has inspired me the most. That's for sure.
Okay.
So Jason Brooks, Cody Newton, Sean Lutzis, Naomi, Meacham Miller. But outside of that, Kane Hodder. Because my hero growing up was Kane Hodder, who played Jason in 4 of the films. He's that guy. Mm-hmm. And I went to a show when I was young, or not, like 6-7 years ago, and I had my knee replaced. And I was limping. Long story short, I meet him. We talk. He's asking why I'm limping. I have compression socks on. He signs 5 things for me for free. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. And then every time I went back to another show, he was like my best friend. He'd have me sit there. I've never paid for another autograph. I must have 50 autographs. We go to eat, we go to drink, we get drunk together, we do shots. Like imagine like you meeting like Brad Pitt, and then he became your best friend. It doesn't even make sense, right? Like it's just so like that got me going that, oh, I can do it kind of thing. You know, people like me, he likes me, so on and so forth. Right. So as far as like motivation, him, but the team, I'm jealous of my team. They're all so good at everything. Cody, director of photography, is phenomenal. Jason does effects. Jason can do anything. Sean with producing. It's just they inspired me to make more films. They're the ones who inspired me to make Rosebud.
And that's great to have a team that supports you that way, encourages you, and then in the end, you produce this amazing product, and people want more of it.
We're like family. We fight too.
Yeah.
But we still love each other at the end.
Well, who doesn't? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
If you don't fight, you don't love.
Yeah, you're a Spanish family. They'll go at it, and then like, oh, you want some food?
If there's no reaction, then you should start worrying.
Yeah.
So, all right. So I totally get it. What advice would you give someone wanting to break into the film industry?
It's like the Nike, just do it. Because if you try to wait, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to get better at this. No, just do it. Nothing is better than experience, right? So anything you did, so you saw the laugh set, that probably opened your eyes way bigger than how many lines you could have remembered or anything you ever could have done, right? You're like, oh, look at this guy, look at this, look at this. That inspires you to do more. And you could do it. You're a person. Why can't you do it? You know? I made a film and I never held the camera, and I was a director. I still don't know. I have a huge camera in there. I don't even know how to turn it on or operate it. But why, in my mind, why am I going to spend 20 years trying to learn it when that guy did? Right? So I have high energy. Let me focus mine on passion and energy and stuff. And let me surround myself with people that are great. Because you'll never be as good as them.
Right. That's an excellent point. When you have people on your team that are good at what they do, no need to reinvent the wheel.
Exactly.
Focus on what you want to do and what needs to be done, and leverage your strengths.
Right. And I think the humbleness of me knowing I don't know what they know and never thinking I do empowers them and empowers me to them. Where they're like, Pete's like one of us. He doesn't think he's better.
Right.
There's tons of times we do a scene and somebody will be like, hey, what about this? Now, I worked on this scene for a year. I wrote it. I have every in and out. I have every idea, everything going with it. And I'll stop and I'll listen. And half the time I'll change the scene because they're right. And that's huge. That makes a really big family.
Well, that's what I was going to ask about. So you can and you do change scenes, even maybe even something you think of differently or look at differently based on what's happening.
Correct. Or like you in your brain, it's this way, and then you get to the set and there's a wall there, or this, you can't do this, you can't do that. Oh, let's change the camera. Let's change this. Let's move here. Let's get a close up. That too. But I've had major story changes though brought to me by my team.
Right.
So Laugh, we shot Laugh. And when we came back, my knee was dislocated. I was downstairs, my leg up icing, and the whole team came here. Jason, Naomi, Cody, and they said, we think you should change the whole story and just be the Reaper from then on, and then go on your rampage from the Reaper. That's huge. And most people won't, they're scared to tell me that. So, and I was sitting there in pain, icing. I'm like, and they showed me the video, that picture of me with the makeup. And they're like, that's the movie. And I was like, you're right. So there's a lot more story I wanted to tell, but it'll get shrunken down, and the Reaper will be the story because it'll sell.
Right.
He looks crazy.
He does look
crazy.
He definitely looks crazy. It sounds like you have made lots of friends in the industry.
Yes.
And you're just an ordinary guy.
Correct.
And you're saying any ordinary person can do this.
They can.
But I think it's a little extraordinary because you're one person who just did it and you made it happen. Right. There are lots of people who try and maybe not hard enough, but for one reason or another cannot get to the level of success that you have in this filming industry.
I think you said it. Well, the first thing you said was maybe not hard enough. That's exactly it. I gave up everything. I probably put 80 grand of my own money into it. I went, broke. So I gained 80 pounds during Rosebud. I was 288 pounds. I didn't have a date. I barely saw my family, my nieces that I love. There is a sacrifice level that people don't see. Mm-hmm. They see the top of the mountain. They don't see everything, every step, every thorn on the way to the top of the mountain. So it takes, and then you got to find people
right
that are better than you, like I did, and then that passion. So my strength is passion. If you see me explain a story, I get all excited and emotional. I think that drives passion. Somebody has to have that. That story has to be driven by the sleigh of like passion, and then everything else can fill in. So you can do it. If you don't think you can do it, you're not going to do it. How could you?
Right.
How could you? And if you ever watch like Mark Cuban, all these successful people, they all said the same thing. I'm not super. I just did it. I just sacrificed and worked. There's people like Elon Musk that are smart, but then most guys aren't high end of the class. They're just hard workers.
Right.
You just keep working, you'll figure it out.
Well, I always thought you needed to have all the answers. You needed to have everything accounted for before you start. And if you wait for that, you're never going to get started.
You have to fail multiple times.
I guess that's true.
You have to. No one ever hasn't failed. Every millionaire, billionaire, they've all go bankrupt, whatever. You have to fail because you learn. And you're going in the boundaries no one's ever gone before. You're doing things never done before. So you're going to fail.
Right. So hear that. So just do it, guys.
Just do it.
If you're wondering how to get started, just do it. Don't wait till you have all the answers. That's great advice.
I'll give you a real quick example. Having a child. You never really think you're ready for a child.
That's true.
No one. You'd always think, I need to do more, I need to do more. And then you have a child, you're like, I'm okay.
Right. And you figure it out.
Yeah, and that's way harder than a movie. Yeah.
That is true. High five.
Yeah.
That is true. So what's next for Peter?
It's Snow White and then Laugh, and then probably in the next month my knee replacement. Okay. And then I gotta finish Laugh and wrap that up. Then we gotta bring Snow White to the movie theaters, and then hopefully film Laugh and then Laugh to the movie theaters. So Sharon Martinez can be a star.
That sounds so funny. Don't laugh.
I'm trying. Well, let me get the laughing out of me. You can't do that while I'm laughing. Yeah.
But I thought when Joey Ambrosini asked me, he goes, they're looking for extras on the scene being filmed such and such a date. Bring a couple costumes, go feel it out, and then decide what you want to wear. And I was like, I don't know. Anyway, I said, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna show up and do it. And I had no idea what to expect, but I thought it was a comedy.
Because it's Laugh.
Right. Yeah, so I was totally shocked. I was like, what in the heck is this?
Going on? Yeah.
Like, this is a horror film. And I was most terrified of watching horror. And here I am in a horror film.
And the girl giving birth to the baby.
I know. That was crazy.
You were there for me in makeup, or did you leave by then?
No, I saw you in the makeup.
Okay, I forget.
I took pictures with you in the makeup.
I forget. All those days are like one day.
Yeah.
Because we don't sleep.
Yeah. That's crazy. That was crazy. I'm looking forward to when that's completed. I know it's a little bit on the back burner now because Snow White is jumped in front of it. Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta go roll with it.
Yeah.
You never know. And there's a reason, and we'll find out why.
Yeah.
So, well, I really do appreciate your time today. You were so gracious. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And accepting this, especially knowing that this was my first, not knowing, I should say, that this was my first interview.
Yeah, you did great.
And you guys weren't here for some of the behind the scenes, but we'll save that for another day.
We had a fist fight, but we're over it.
But thank you so much again.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We learned a great deal about Peter today, and he offered us some great advice. If you have a dream, don't wait till you have all the answers. Take a risk and just do it. Hope you enjoyed our conversation. Signing off with Sharon with Sharon. Until next time.